In this video, I'm going to show you the exercises for the hip capsule. And this is going to really attack the hip capsule in a lot of different positions where it is restricted, particularly in the posterior direction, the posterior hip capsule. What happens is when we're sitting on our ass all the time, the hip moves forward and it gets tight in the back. Everything tightens up in the back. So we need to mobilize and loosen up the hip capsule in the posterior direction to restore it in the normal position. And that's what we're doing with all the capsule movements and stretches and exercises. We're making sure it's in the central position in that joint. So it's a ball and socket joint. It's in the central there so it can move around smoothly. If it's pushed back a little bit, it's going to get caught on bony structures or other soft tissues, ligaments, things like that, and that's going to limit your flexibility. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got the band set up, and you want to set the band up very low as possible here. Okay, you're going to step in, wrap it around, and then you're going to crawl forward. And you can get quite a bit of tension on this one. This is one that you can get either a stronger band or stretch it out relatively far. All right, so from here, we're going to start off. This is the 4-point stance. Good posture, chest up, shoulder blades down and back. I'm going to put all my weight on the leg that's attached to the band here. So I'm going to shift all my weight over there. And what I'm trying to do right now is push the bone, the femur, out to the side. So I can mobilize the lateral aspect of the capsule right now. And I'm going to go in and out. And once I get into a good position, now the opposite leg, I'm going to stretch it out and put it under the band and behind my leg so that I can really push the hip out. What I'm trying to do is keep this shoulder up so I can open up and push this side out as much as possible. Now, once I feel like I'm in a good position there and I can feel that pressure, that force on the outside of my hip, I'm going to scour. And this is a passive scour, so I'm not using the muscles of my hip to scour, but I'm moving my body over top. I'm trying to keep the muscles of my hip as relaxed as possible. So I'm going to go 5 in one direction. I'm doing circles here. And then I'm going to go 5 in another direction, in the other direction. And that's the scouring. That's going to break up any nastiness that's in the joint capsule. It could be calcium deposits or adhesions, fascial adhesions, could be anything. Okay? So from there, that's the straight position. So if I go back, I'm in normal, I'm in the straight position. Now, I'm going to externally rotate my femur there. So this is also known as the pigeon pose in yoga when you do this. A couple key points here. I want to make sure that my ankle is pushing into the ground as much as I can, not just the toes like that. You see that there? But my ankle is down into the ground. The further up my foot is, the harder or the more flexibility I need. Once I'm there, I'm going to crawl back and just sit my hips back until I get a good stretch. Now from here, I can add to this a little bit by going on to my opposite arm, opposite forearm, and opening up my hips that way. Opening up my torso, so that's going to maximize the stretch. Now once I'm in this position, again, passive scouring. So moving my body over top of the joint, 5 rotations. And I can also get on the ball of the foot here. You can see that, using that to help me move and scour. And then go in the other direction, breathing. 5. I'm going counterclockwise right now. Okay, and there. So now I've hit the outer hip, the rotators, those muscles, but I'm still mobilizing that joint capsule. Okay, now I'm going to go the other way, internal hip rotation. So get into neutral again, 4-point stance, and then boom, push that leg out. All right, so from here, what I'm going to do is my opposite leg, shoot it out to the side, and then I'm just going to crawl back and step back, and I'll bring it in as much as I need to, but I want to keep it out just so I'm making sure that I've got the internal rotation here, and I'm not just twisting my body like this and then I'm just in neutral. Okay, so I shoot it out that way, hands stay straight, and I'm trying to drive my hips down. Get right down into that hip flexion, full hip flexion. Because this internal rotation and full hip flexion is a position of restriction for many people, including myself. Well, it used to be for myself. And once I get there, again, up on the toe, let's do a little scouring. 5 circles in one way, and 5 circles the other way. Trying to really sink into the hips, relax as much as you can. That's the importance of the breathing. Now, usually I would just be completely silent during this and just focus deep breathing, one after the other, deep breaths. Okay? So that's the scouring there. Now, got one more position to mobilize here. Got the band attached to us. It's attached to my left leg, shooting it out to the side. Right there. I can spread out this knee. So now, and I can rotate this one in so I don't cramp up too much. But I'm going to crawl this foot out as much as I can. Okay? And then try to relax the muscles here. And if you find you're cramping, just back off a little bit. But then once you get set, and I'm good here, what I want to do is drive the foot into the ground. So I'm activating the adductors here. 5 seconds, keeping good posture, good spine, neutral spine, shoulder blades down and back. 5 second squeeze, and relax. And then I'm going to scour. So with my hands on the ground, just rotate that foot up as far as I can go, keeping the rest of my body as still as I can. Okay? Just like that, 5 times. And then in this position, all the way externally rotated there, I'm going to drive the leg down into the ground, push it down 5 seconds, activate those hamstrings, okay? And relax. And then you can scour that up again. And you might get some popping and stuff like that going on in your hips where it's repositioning itself. Your femur is repositioning itself in the joint capsule. From here, crawl forward a little bit and sit back. So I'm sitting on the top of my foot here, leg is out, sit up tall, okay, support myself. Since I'm starting here, drive that foot into the ground. 5 seconds, lengthening that hamstring and strengthening it, and then I'm going to scour. Internally rotate, externally rotate. So try to actively control the external rotation. Don't just let the band pull you, but actively control it the whole way. And then there, push down, adductor squeeze, 5 seconds, and relax. Good spine, nice and tall, scour that up. Okay, so that is the mobilization for the joint capsule. We're hitting a lot of different things there. We transitioned from one exercise kind of to a different, completely different exercise, but it's in the same position, so you just flow into it, okay? So that is gonna really hit the joint capsule in all different positions. So you're gonna be able to get down deep in squats, right down deep. You're gonna have that strength and stability to pop yourself out of there. You're not just gonna be able to get there and then won't have any strength or stability to be able to get out. It's also gonna allow that joint, that femur, the head of the femur, the ball and socket joint, to rotate freely in all these different positions for things like kicks. Whenever you throw a roundhouse kick, the head of the femur has to not only extend, stretch the adductors, stretch the hamstrings, but it also has to be able to rotate. And we're building that ability for your hips with this exercise. Okay, great exercise. Make sure you hit all those points and do it up.